Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Sandylu of Life's Trades Coaching, your transformational business and life coach. Welcome to Transform Your Life with Sandylu and Friends. And as you can see, my guest for tonight is me, myself, and I. So yours truly is here to give you some great insight, information, coaching, tips, awareness regarding relationships. Hi, Jorge Rivera, Nena Guerrero, my sister. Hey, Nena. Alma Rodriguez. Hello, Alma. Good evening. We get to connect soon. Janny McGuire, good evening. Remember, you guys, if you're just getting on, remember to share. Sharing is caring. This is going to be very great, insightful information. I was writing a list of all the things that I wanted to speak about, and I was like, I can speak about this topic for days, because the reality is that our daily life is all about relationships, whether it's with ourselves, with our friend, our coworkers, our clients, our siblings, our parents, our team, etc. Hi, Alma. Hello, Debbie, Kiki. And so there's so many things that work in creating healthy, loving, respectful, successful relationships, whether they're personal or professional. And then there's a lot of things that don't work as well in creating that. So I'm going to talk about both sides of it, and I'm also going to share some tips and scenarios. So this is what I'm going to tell you right now. So first of all, hi everyone again. Jorge Vera Imua Familia, yes, PhD 2 in the house. All right, so those of you that got on, make sure you share. Remember to share. Sharing is caring. This is all about transforming your life. So let me just warn you right now. I'm going to give you some examples and analogies about relationships that work and don't work. The purpose is to give you some level of awareness about how you show up in relationships. And that's in different scenarios. We show up differently in different scenarios and different relationships. It's very easy and quick to say, oh, that example, that analogy, oh yeah, so-and-so is like that. So-and-so is like that. So-and-so is like that. And we're very quick to point the finger. So one is, I want you to take this show, this opportunity to self-reflect. Listen, practice listening. Try not to be right. Just be objective, be open, and practice committed listening. And see if something fits, if the shoe fits, okay? It's not about right or wrong, good or bad. It's really about being aware. We cannot change what we don't know that we don't know. So as a coach, I step back objectively and I see what's working and not working in relationships in different arenas, okay? So I coach couples, I coach businesses, I coach different people in creating healthy, respectful, and forwarding relationships. So anyway, so let me tell you, I might say some things that are going to push your buttons. If what I'm saying bugs you for any reason at all, I ask you to take a moment and step back and see, what is it about this that bothers me? Does this shoe fit me? Does this example do something for me? Does it bring something up that I'm trying to avoid, or that I'm not ready to acknowledge, or I don't want to acknowledge? Because sometimes those things that bug us about other people or scenarios are really things that we have internally that we're avoiding and we're not dealing with. So make sure that you don't start looking at pointing fingers, but really take the time to self-reflect, okay? This is about you and being aware on how you show up in relationships. It's not about who does what or who doesn't do what. It's about you looking at, how am I in this relationship? Because sometimes if you notice, sometimes we connect with people, sometimes we totally cannot connect with people. Sometimes wherever we go, people feel like they got to be guarded. Sometimes they feel like they can tell you everything, right? And so it has a lot to do with the way you be, who you be, how you show up, and the space that you provide for other people. So I'm going to take a quick moment so I could log in here so I could make sure I can see everybody's comments. And so if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please feel free to send me the message. I'm going to do my best to be able to answer your questions, or maybe you have a scenario or some challenge that you're having that you'd like me to address or talk about. Okay, I'm muting myself here. All right, so hi Veronica. Let's see how everybody that got on. I can't see everybody here for some reason. So tell me hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Remember to share. Hello, Mariana. Hello. Hello, Fabiola Herrera. Hello. All right, so, and you could give me love and hearts. I won't get mad. Like it, you know, laughter, etc. Hi, Carmen. Hi, Carmen. Hi. I have a special guest here today. Hi, Amanda Barajas. Hello, Amanda. Very young, beautiful powerhouse leader woman. Tony Avila. Hello, Tony. All right, guys. So today's show is about relationships. How is it like to be in relationship with you? Not pointing fingers, all right? Hello, Danielle. Hello, Christina Cupo. Christina Cupo's in Bullhead, Arizona. Oh my gosh, it must be like super hot over there. Hello, let's see. Send me love, send me hearts, etc. Remember to share, guys. Hello, Chela Diaz. Hi. All right, guys. So let's talk about relationships. I'm going to give you some examples and analogies, and we're going to talk about things like the 5 love languages. We're going to talk about personality styles. We're going to talk about be, do, have, and I'm going to do a quick overview of it all, because the reality is that I can talk for days over this. And if you're interested in just sitting with me and kind of going over maybe some of the stuff you might be experiencing or having challenges with, please feel free to reach out to me. Hello, Luis Mendoza, Rick Amino. All right, so please feel free to reach out to me. I love to support you in any way that I can. But okay, so what I'm going to talk about is what it's like to be in relationship with you. And one of the things I'm going to start off with, so I'm going to talk about different kinds of relationships, okay? The first one we're going to talk about, and the topic is leadership. Whether you're the manager, whether you're the boss, the broker, the supervisor, the president of a company, organization, etc. If you take the leader role in your job, career, etc., and there's people that work under you or work with you, etc., but you're the main lead, you're the one that takes ownership and responsibility of it all, because that's what leaders do, then this is what I'm going to share. So there's different leadership styles, and we all do things differently based on our own experience and our interpretations. And so sometimes as leaders, we have a challenge with how we lead, and sometimes it's because it's very me driven or me purpose. So consider if you're the leader of if you're the supervisor of a project, let's say you're the supervisor of a project, you have a team that's working with you, but you are the one that has the final say, the final word, and you're guiding everybody. If this is a role you play, are you the kind of leader that delegates, that empowers, that motivates, that when people are around you, they feel uplifted? When they leave you, they feel excited, they feel inspired, they want to do everything and anything to make the vision and the purpose and the goal come alive, that they're going to step in without you having to tell them? Are you the kind of leader who gets their hands dirty too and works with your team? Do you make people feel welcomed? Do you make them feel accepted? Do you acknowledge them? Do people feel love in your presence? Do they feel excited? Are they aligning to your common goal? Or is it scary to be under your leadership? Okay. And I'm saying this, I've been there, and I've been in both sides, where I've been the scary one, and I also have been led by a scary one. Okay. So it's not about right or wrong or good or bad, but it's an opportunity for us to self-reflect and see what's working, what's not working, and how we can change and be in ownership of what's working and not working. Okay? So are you the kind of leader that is do as I say, not as I do? Are you the kind of leader that's constantly, it's not enough, it's not good enough, you don't matter, I don't acknowledge you, you're where you feel constantly like either you're in eggshells, or you feel dumb, or you feel like you're not good, when people work around you, they feel like they're not good enough, like they're never going to be good enough? Is that the kind of leadership that you guide yourself with, that you lead with? Do you lead with your ego? Do you lead with your heart? So those two things are things to really look at. If I lead with my ego, then I'm going to be the one that I'm the boss, I'm in charge, as I say, as I do, leadership is being a true a leader who's committed to a vision and a purpose is in the stand of I'm responsible for it all. So it's not about pointing fingers. Ultimately, I take ownership and responsibility for what's working and not working, and I'm responsible for it all. So are you the kind that blames everybody and doesn't take responsibility? Are you the kind of person that takes responsibility and sees what's working, what's not working, and empowers the team and works as a team to make things happen, to create results, to create what you want, to the vision, the goal, whatever it is, whether it's raising money for an organization, whether it's making that big giant sale, whether it's whatever it is, right? Okay, so and that's what we get to look at. Like, it's really quick to point out how other people are in a relationship of any kind, but it's much more powerful for us to really self-reflect and see how we're responsible for why it may work or it may not be working, and how we got to show up. Okay, so I want to acknowledge some of you that jumped on. Let's see, Marianne Lopez says the 5 love languages of love. Yes, so and we'll talk about that, because 5 love languages are key to why sometimes we don't understand how we all want to show and express love, that we end up making each other wrong for not getting the love the way we want to get it. All right, so hello Ana Martinez, Kathy Medina, Gary Shomack, Angie Divias, Valencia, I'm sorry, Nancy Victoria, Neera, Stephanie Castillo Gallegos, Mako Ri, hola Mako, Nancy Andrade, Carol Alcandor, Angelica, hello Angie, Erin Aldama, hi there, Rosa Ana Ramos de Camane. I'm not sure if I said it wrong, but my apologies if I did. But anyway, I'm glad that you're listening. Make sure that you share. Let me know where you're all coming in from. And this is all about relationships, healthy relationships. Okay, so send me your questions and your comments. I want to know what you think. I've been in the scenario where I've managed people, and I've been the leader, and I've led leadership teams, and I've coached coaches to lead leadership teams, and all kinds of stuff like that. And in the process, I always would step back and check what worked, what didn't work. And as for example, I would prep a team, I would lead this team. At the end of their project, I would go to see at the end what was the results. I looked at what worked, what didn't work, and then that way when I went to go prep the next team, then I know, okay, I need to make sure that I implement this in the program. I make sure that I empower them. I make sure that next time I don't do this, or that I'm like this, or I behave more supportive, or be comfortable being uncomfortable, being an interruption, and being a loving interruption. So one thing is to be rude, mean, demeaning, egotistical, etc. And the other thing is to be a loving interruption, because I care. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to be an interruption. I'm going to be comfortable being uncomfortable and telling you what may be working, what's not working, because I would be doing you a disservice not to say anything. So that's what we do as leaders when you're really in the space of ownership and really being clear that our results are, they don't lie, so if the way we lead is not working, then we gotta take ownership. And it's not about beating ourselves up, but like looking at, like, there are relationships, so the stronger the bond, the more respect there is in a relationship, in any kind of leadership and team role, the bigger the results are going to be, the bigger and more amazing it's going to be, and the journey to getting to the end point is going to be even that much more extraordinary. So you want to make sure that you check in with yourself, and if you're leading, does your team feel like they could trust you? Does your team feel empowered? Does your team feel inspired? Do you get involved with them and connect and get to know who they are as well? That's really important, and it's all about being in ownership. Okay, so keep that in mind, because it's really quick to point the finger. We're always quick to point the finger, but remember that saying that whenever there's when you're pointing one finger out, there's 3 more fingers pointing back at you. So see, notice. Okay, so I know I probably sound weird, and yes, if you see my nails, I haven't got a manicure. Okay, so hey Alfonso Silva and Alex Chavez. Hello, Chavez. All right, and thank you for the love. Send me more love. I won't get mad. All right, because it's all about love and relationships. And the thing about it is in leadership, personality styles. Okay, I'm going to talk about personality styles a little bit, and then I'll kind of go back and forth as I talk about different kinds of relationships, because I did say I was going to talk about different relationships. So personality styles, it's last time I had my guest Joanna Vargas, who spoke about personality styles, and she used colors as a quadrant of personality styles. So I'll use that as an example for right now, since I already have a reference point for those of you that have viewed before. And definitely, if you have a chance, go back to my page and watch the show with her, Joanna Vargas, where she shares about personality styles and color, and you can also find it in YouTube. So personality styles, we all have different personality styles, and the more we understand our personality style and learn about the other personality styles, then we could find another way to connect and understand each other. We all interpret things differently already based on our own life experiences and our education, our cultural, ethnicity, religion, spiritual, I mean, you name it. We all think differently, but we also have personality styles. Some of us are very energetic and funny and animated and very go, 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 go. And then some of us are very stern, reserved, take charge, I'm the boss, I'm taking lead, very, sometimes maybe even overbearing. Sometimes some of us are very analytical, and that's a personality style. It's not some, and I'm talking about the style itself, which we said it was green. And so people that are analytical, and there's a difference between people that don't trust themselves and take action, and then there's people that require more information. So analytical people tend to be more organized. They tend to take time to make certain decisions. They always want more information, and then once they get that information, they want more information. But they're very organized, and they're very detailed, and so for some people, some personality styles have a hard time with the analytical type, because some personality styles are very like this. So for example, a red, which is what we would call a driver, a controller, the leader, the boss, the one that takes charge, the risk taker, the one that shows up confidently, etc. They tend to be, with an analytical person, sometimes they could lose their patience because they want everything now. And an analyzer requires more time. So if you understand that, then you know what, I need to give this person more time. I need to listen to what they need. I need to, otherwise what happens is that person feels like, oh my gosh, you know, like, stop pressuring me. And then they could even think I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm, you know, like they're mean, they're being degrading, they're being demeaning, they're being, you know, rude and egotistical, and they're being impatient, and it feels like a personal attack. So notice if people feel that way around you. Do people feel attacked? Do people feel like you're making them wrong all the time? Do people feel like they're being judged all the time? Think about it. No one wants to be around someone where they feel like they're wrong all the time. Like, who wants to feel like they're wrong all the time? Who wants to feel like they're not enough all the time? You know, often we already have that little conversation in our head based on how we grew up in our experiences, right? So do you want to be around people that make you feel that you're not good enough all the time, or you're not enough, or you're not worthy, or you're dumb, or you're stupid, or you're you know, just bad? You know, do you really want to be around that? Probably not. So pay attention if you're showing up in such a way that people feel uncomfortable, that they feel like no matter what, it's just never going to be right or good enough. And I could relate to this so much, because in my crazy years of how my low self-esteem and self-confidence was masked with controlling personality style, that was masked with I'm right, kind of egotistical led kind of way, people that were closest to me did not feel like they could ever do anything right, did not feel like anything they did was good enough. And I could go on and on. I was kind of scary before I became self-aware and did all this training and did all this work. But that's why we got to check in with ourselves. You know, it was quick to see what they were doing that wasn't working, or that I didn't like, or how they were wrong. But nothing about how I was being with them was making them feel empowered or motivated. They were scared and walking around eggshells, right? So we got to look at how we're showing up. You know, now it's a different experience when people are around me. My thing, and I've been saying this a lot lately, is like, leave people better than when I found them. You know, there's a thing about when you go somewhere and you make a mess before you leave it better than when you found it. So I think about when I meet people, my intention is to leave them in a better place than when I found them. So think about when people leave you, do they feel better than when they left than when they arrived to you? Consider that. And also the other way around, when you go to people, do you feel like when you leave you feel like crap? That you feel disempowered? That you feel or you feel like, oh, I'm so tired because I felt like they sucked the energy out of me. All their negativity, all their pessimistic, all their I can't conversations, all the talking about everybody and everything that sucks in the world and their life, etc. And then I leave and I feel like I'm tired. Energy suck. Are you an energy suck, or are you around people that are sucking the energy out of you? You know, consider that. Let's see. Hello, Irma Delgado, Cynthia Casillas, Polina Herrera, Richard R. Rivas, Jorge Rivera. You know what I'm talking about. Jorge Rivera was in a program that I mentored, and he is awesome for your printing needs. He's the guy to go to. Hello, Jocelyn Gonzalez. All right, so consider how it is to be in relationship with you. Like I said, it's quick to point fingers, but really it starts with me. Change starts with me, and the more self-aware I am, then I can make changes that change the course and forward me and myself and everyone around me in a very powerful and positive way. Okay, so one of the things that I wrote here, and I had to write notes because there's so much to think about, but leaders create other leaders. They lead with vision and purpose, and they work hand in hand with you. Okay, so consider a leader. You're gonna get there, you're gonna roll your arms up, and you're gonna go and do the work as well. It's sometimes you get to be, delegate, have, and sometimes it's be, do, have, but you get to start with who I get to be. What am I going to be the source of? What am I going to create with this particular scenario, with this team, with my company, etc.? Like, what is it that you want to create? So I remember going into a building. I was going to manage a new building with the senior citizens, and I came into a very chaotic environment. The previous manager was let go unexpectedly, not in the best of terms. Then I stepped in, and I was very clear on my intention, and it was like, I'm going to create a space where people feel happy, that people feel peaceful, and that they feel like they matter. Because in the senior community, a lot of seniors don't feel like people care about them. So I was very clear on that intention, and I can say that it took work, but my commitment and working with my team to create that, because I couldn't do it by myself. I had a team. The only way it was going to work was for our team to be in alignment with that vision and purpose that I had, for everybody to feel peaceful, to have fun, to feel like they mattered. And we did a lot, and we went above and beyond to make sure they did. And it was so beautiful and so rewarding at the same time. So remember that it's all about working together, okay? And that's when you lead with love. If you lead with love all the time, that changes the results. Now let's talk about parent-child relationships. And so I know, and it's something for you to look at with your parents. You know, for all of you adults that are on, obviously you're all adults that are on following me, because I don't really have little kids following me. But some of you have kids, and the reality is that you guys are somebody's kids. And some of you still deal with your parents, and sometimes your parents still have influence over you, and sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. You also, some of you are parents, so sometimes your relationship with your kids, or your interaction and how you communicate with your child, is not always the best thing. So consider if you are a parent, or if you're a parent. As a parent, do you empower or disempower your kids? Do they have you, do they try to avoid you, or do they want to be around you all the time? So think of what it's like for your child to be your child, right? Do they feel like you're fun, and yet at the same time you have structure and discipline, and do they feel safe around you? Do they feel like you are their cheerleader? Do they feel like you acknowledge them? Do they feel like you give them the fish or teach them how to fish? Are you enabling them? Are you disabling them? I'm saying that incorrectly, but sometimes we enable people and then they don't know how to think for themselves, and they have a hard time functioning on their own. So as a parent, do you have a nickname for your child that may be disempowering? That's very common, especially in our Latino community, where you'll nickname the little boy gordo, you know, or you'll nickname them something, just weird stuff. I remember I had a nickname I didn't like. At one point my dad used to call me Seca when I was really little, and it was because I was so skinny, like I was like a twig, and I did not like that. So at one point I felt like comfortable enough, because my dad and I were like best friends. So as our relationship evolved, I was like, Dad, I don't like you to call me that. Don't call me Seca anymore. And he stopped. And you know what he started calling me? Reina, which means queen. Now, is that empowering or disempowering? Think about it. For me, I think that was a huge thing. I didn't realize it at the time, but I know that those words still stay with me, and it reminds me of my worth. And my dad always made me feel like I was worthy and capable and powerful. And even though he didn't say those words, the way he treated me, and he had me do, you know, evoked in me to do certain things and take charge of certain things at a very young age, I knew that, yeah, I was the queen. I'm queen, I'm powerful, I'm beautiful, etc. So as life went, I started doing things that contradicted that, but I would always regroup, because I would remember my dad said I was the queen, I was the reina. So even when I ended up in a really bad relationship that became physically abusive, I had the courage to say, enough is enough. If my father doesn't try to boss me, if my father's not trying to control me, if my parents didn't do that to me, what makes you think that you are? I don't think so. You know, someone tried to dim my light, and I said, no way, no how. I found the courage to get out of it before I got literally strangled to death. And it was those things that were instilled in me. So even though I've had my challenges with self-confidence, low self-worth, unworthiness, and all the stuff that I went through for a very long time before I did self-development, I always had that in me. So I think that's what, I never gave up, I never quit, I always regroup. I always know, like, there's some part of me that is super crazy confident and is willing to take those risks because of that simple word of being called reina. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's what we gotta be mindful. Our language has energy, it has power, and sometimes we take people's wings off by the words that we choose. And so now, if someone's around you, you know, if your kids, do you take your kids' wings off, you know, because you're imposing your limitations, you're imposing your limiting beliefs, you're imposing your fears, okay? Sometimes people impose their own fears and they say, oh, you're not good enough, oh, you can't do that, you can't even finish that, you can't even finish that, you can't even do that, you can't even do that. And so you tell them, oh, I want to do this, oh no, you can't do that because of that. Oh, so a lot of people will tell you that you can't do something, and it's usually because they don't have the courage or the willingness to be comfortable being uncomfortable, to take charge and do it themselves. Hey, Ray Chavez, I'm on live if you want to comment. Okay, so they'll impose it on you, and then you choose whether you're going to take it on or you're going to not take it on. Are you going to wear that shirt that says I can't? Or are you going to give them their shirt and say you can't but I can? You know, I choose to operate out of I can. So what is it like to be in a relationship with you? Is your, as a parent, do your kids want to be around you? You know, and there's a balance between I get to be cool and connected and have a relationship with my kids where they feel like they could trust me and we can have fun together, and then there's the boundary of like, okay, there's these are the boundaries though. There's certain things that I'm not okay with, and at the same time, I'm not going to make you wrong, I'm not going to judge you, but I'm going to make sure that there's a level of respect and clarity. So it's all about communicating and understanding one each other, and being open to seeing if it's not working, that there's something that you get to change or change your approach, change your way of being, change your way of looking at things, because sometimes we're trying to make them change and pointing the finger, but there's something that you're doing or being that's creating the relationship that is not working. And people have this crazy need to be right, and they'll be dead right. And when I say dead right, I mean they'll be right until they die. And nobody wins in this scenario. So don't have the need to be right, because it doesn't serve any relationship, whether it's professional or personal. The need to be right will kill any relationship. Okay? Any relationship, you're always gonna feel like you're not good enough, it's not enough, you're not worthy, you don't matter, what you want doesn't matter, who you are doesn't matter, like what you have to say doesn't matter, like that kind of stuff. So if you as kids, sometimes too, we tend to judge our parents very harshly. We judge them very harshly because they don't do this or they don't do that. I know, like for me, like, you know, I love my parents, and you know, and may they rest in peace. And I know they're probably like thinking, oh, if they're watching me, they're thinking like, gosh, she talks about this a lot. But I learned a lot. Now I've learned a lot. It took me to hit rock bottom to really learn and really start learning of how I was viewing and judging everybody and everyone. And the reality is that it all started with my own judgment of myself, but I was imposing it on everybody else. But I was very harsh on the way I judged my mom and my dad. My mom was an alcoholic. She suffered with depression. My dad had depression, but he was still happy-go-lucky, but he suffered with depression, and he was very ambitious, but yet he had health issues. And then, like, there's things that I think he could have done differently. But the thing about it is that we all have our own life stories and our own experiences. Yes, they don't define us, but some of us have a hard time getting through them or past them if we don't get the help that we need to address them. And so in my parents' scenario, that's what it was, you know. Not having compassion towards them made me look like a crazy, judgmental, mean daughter sometimes, you know. But the reality is I always loved them. I always wanted the best for them, you know, and sometimes I think I probably wanted the best for them more than they did themselves. You know, it was a choice they made, but it wasn't for me to judge or make them wrong. They had a lot that they were carrying, and knowing that changes everything. So with my father, I was able to really have this understanding and communication with him before he passed. Fortunately for me, I did a lot of self-development right before he passed. And with my mother, it's taken a lot more work because she's not alive, and so I've been having to do the work on my own. So if you're having a problem with your parents, your relationship is strained, whether it's your sibling or your parent, consider that you could be dead right till the day one of you dies, or you can see how you can make it work. And you know, and these personality styles are very important too. Is understanding that we all communicate differently, we all see things differently, and we interpret things differently based on our experiences, our education, etc. So don't impose on people what you think they should be doing, or what they should have, or what they shouldn't have, or how they should have, could have, would have, etc. Instead, empower them to look at things in a different way, in a new possibility, and be in the new moment to create something different. So whatever relationship it is, you can always create something different, something new, but it takes you being able to look into yourself and ask yourself, how am I responsible for it working or not working? And what am I committed to creating to do something different? So you understand that. Now, let's see. So I'm gonna acknowledge a few of you that jumped on. I'm like it's going, like time goes by so fast, but don't hesitate to send me your questions or your comments. Let's see, Rosa Barjona, April Marie Perea, hey April, Paco, Francisco Limon, hello, say hi to Cookie for me, Jesse Ramos, Hector Cardona, oh, Arturo Cervantes, hi Arturo, Robert Ornelias. All right, guys, so remember to share. Those of you that just jumped on, welcome to my show, Transform Your Life with Sandylu and Friends. And today my guest is me, myself, and we're talking about relationships, specifically and what it's like to be in a relationship with you. So it's not about pointing the fingers of how people are based on the analogies and examples that I'm giving you, but it's more like what is it like for someone to be in a relationship with you, whether it's a professional one, a personal one, an intimate one. What is that like for you? Because it's quick to point fingers, but if relationships only work if we're willing to take ownership and responsibility of what's working and what's not working. Okay, so now as a child, like, as you know, sometimes we give our power away to our parents, right? Sometimes our parents will tell us some way, somehow they impose on us their limiting beliefs, their own fears, their own anxieties. They're brought up from a different time. I was talking to somebody about how their parent was about money, right? So we talked about money, relationship with money. We had the money coach on a few segments ago, a few episodes ago. So if you haven't seen the money coach episode with Diana Estrada, also you could go ahead and watch one, go back to my page or YouTube and find that show where she talks about money relationships. But the thing is that when people come from a different era, like, you know, the depression, the mindset of saving for a rainy day was the mindset, because they had gone through all these challenges, and so that mindset was always saving for a rainy day. And so because I'm saving for the rainy day, then I don't spend money to enjoy my life now, or for even the future fun or investment, but it's more for like when crap happens, when the what hits the fan, instead of like having the mentality like we're gonna use this for the investment, for our future, for our freedom, blah blah blah. It's more for a rainy day. So guess what? Those rainy days do come. That mentality, you know, and sometimes people judge them because, oh, they're so tight, they don't spend, blah blah blah, but they don't understand where that's coming from, where that mentality is coming from, where that mindset is coming from. And if you understand it better, then when you communicate to them, it's not making them wrong, it's not judging them, it's not belittling them, but it's really understanding where they're coming from, and meeting them where they're at, like, you know, in the way we think, so that you can have them join you where you're at now and where you think would be awesome for them to go, right? Because ultimately we usually mean well, and we want the best for the people in our life, but sometimes our delivery is really crappy and people don't feel very good when they leave us. So think of this: every time you're with someone, when they leave, are they going to leave in a better place than when they met you? Whether it's, you know, that quick little meeting or whatever, you know. I have a cousin, and I always know he's going to compliment how I look. Like, he always says that. My uncle does the same thing. He's always been the one to compliment. But I always know that he's always going to compliment the way I look. And I'm all like, I look kind of crappy today. Let's see if he compliments. But he does. He always makes it a point to always acknowledge something. And that's really important, because in society, and it's so quick to always say something's wrong with somebody or something. And one thing is to point out some things that is not working, and then giving some kind of empowering advice, suggestion, etc., without imposing. You know, you got to make sure you have permission. And then the other thing is just to point out something, make them feel like crap about it, tell them what they could have, should have done, and then not even leave them feeling excited and motivated doing something different now. Hello, Janet Palomar and Maria Cervantes. Hello, Maria. All right. So, where were we? So now think about relationships, and I'm going to talk about the love language a little bit too, but that's when we go into dating, which we're going to go next, dating and intimate relationships. But when you are in any kind of relationship, are you the kind of person that creates chaos? Are you the person that creates peace? Are you the person that creates love? So back in the days, in my days of my craziness, and I was more of the one that crapped on everybody and everything. And so that's what I created. I was a source of crap. I was a source of disempowerment. I thought I was empowering people, but all I did was say everything that they were doing wrong, and it wasn't good enough, and blah blah blah, whatever. Now that I'm self-aware, my intention and my purpose is always to be the source of peace, to be the source of love, to be the source of empowerment, motivation, inspiration, etc. And that is my intention, and that's the way I walk, that's the way I operate, that's the way I do everything, and that's the way I make decisions. So consider who or what way of being, what is it that you want to be the source of everywhere and anywhere you go at all times. And if you're not creating that around you, then check in with yourself, because it starts with you. If there's chaos around you, just notice, are you creating that chaos? How are you the source of the chaos? If there's joy everywhere, how are you the source of that joy? If you want to bring in joy, be joy everywhere you go, and bring that, you know, bring what you want people to be. So there's a saying called be, do, have. Be in such a way, behavior, demeanor, attitude, etc., that in such a way that's going to create the result that you want. Because sometimes we think it's just do. Let me do this and then I'll get that. Let me do this and I get that. But sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. It's the energy behind it, who you're being. Who you're being makes all the difference. Your way of being is going to make the difference on whether a relationship is working or not working. Let's see. Abraham Lopez says, how much should you change as a person if your relationship doesn't work? That is a really great question. So one thing is to change who you are. Another thing is to change who you're being. Those are two different things, okay? So if who you are is a person who's ambitious, is a go-getter, is happy, is, wants big things in life, etc., and who you're being might be not working, for example, and I'm just giving you this as an example because this is a common thing I see sometimes in that type of person that's doing that, is that sometimes that person is not being connected. They're disconnecting from, they're not being emotionally connected with the person. They're not being supportive to the other person. It's only about them and their career and what they're doing. They're not being loving. They're not being present when they are home, when they are in that relationship, or they're being flirtatious somewhere else, or they're doing things that are not consistent with the respect and the integrity of their relationship. So it's really not about changing who you are as a person, but changing who you're being, your way of being. Your way of being makes all the difference. And let's talk about the love languages a little bit, now that you're mentioning that, Abraham. So the 5 love languages, if you haven't read it, you want to read it, and you could actually do there's like a quick summary of it, and there's actually a test that you can take to see what is your love language. So sometimes in relationships, part of the challenge is that we have different love languages, and sometimes we end up in a relationship with that person's love language is very different from your love language, and because it's not the same, we misinterpret it, and then we get mad, and then we feel like we don't matter, and then you don't care, and then you don't listen. So for example, I'm going to give you the 5 love languages. One is words of affirmation. So some people need to feel acknowledged. They need to feel appreciated. They need you to give them terms of endearment, saying, baby, I love you, you're beautiful, I care about you, hey, you're handsome, oh, you're hot, you're so intelligent, thank you for doing this, thank you for doing that, oh my gosh, like you can do anything that you want. So words of affirmation, words. So that would be someone that you give them a card for their birthday, and it means the world to them what you say and what that card says, and etc. If you wrote a little poem or a little love note or whatever, it means something to them. Now, then you have acts of service. Some people like to show you their love by like cooking for you, for example, which in our Latino community, it's very common. We like to cook for you. Not everybody, but for me, I enjoy cooking for you. That would be one of the things I would like to do. Or I've made blankets for my friends. I like to do that. Those are the kind of things. That's the way I like to express my love, by doing something for you. Now, so those are acts of kindness. It could be, you give them a foot massage or a back massage. My nephew, my godson, he loves massages, and last time he wanted a massage, and I was like, he's getting older, and one day he's not gonna want to, because sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, you give me one, right? And then, I'm thinking he's getting older, and one day he's gonna be like, oh, don't touch me, don't touch me, but he loves me to give him a massage, in his head, and and so for him, that's how he wants me to express love to him. Like for me not to do that would be like me denying him love. You know what I mean? So we receive it and give it differently. You know what I mean? So it's noticing what is the love language of the person that you're with. If it's acts of service, for some people it could be, can you please, like without asking, I washed the dishes, I took the kids to school, without asking, what, I realized that you were going to need this, so I took charge and I already took care of that, and I know you're busy, I'm going to handle this, I'm going to handle that. So Sometimes it's just simple little things like that, is understanding how they need you to express their love and acknowledge them. The other one is quality time. So some people don't care what you give them. You could give them the most expensive car, the most expensive purse, the most expensive trip, ring, etc. But to them, they prefer that you sit with them and you give them quality time. It's not about the things. It's not about the money. It's not about any of those things. It's about the quality time. So for me, that's one of my love languages. That's like the love language of all love languages for me personally. Yes, I like gifts and I like things and words of acknowledgement. But for me, for someone to take their time to spend with me, whether it's 5 minutes, even if it's a quick hello, a text, a message, it means the world to me. You know, for the people that are in my life that I have great relationships with, that I've had for years, like we're so busy. So the fact that someone would take the time to spend time with me, to go out of their way to meet with me for coffee or just come and see me or just chat, like I don't need nothing crazy, extravagant, expensive. I love quality time and great conversation. So quality time. So maybe for you, Abraham, that could be one of those things that maybe your partner needs quality time, right? Those are just things to notice. And look, and I'm not only talking about your partner, it could be your kid's love language. It could be your mom's love language, your co-worker's love language, because those things are very important, okay? And then the last one is physical touch. Some people are very like, don't touch me, right? That is not their language. Don't touch me. Oh, like hugs, etc. Right? And some people are like, oh my gosh, I want to hug you. Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, and you're so. And that's the way that they show their love. And and some of you, if that's not your language, you're like kind of like going, oh my gosh, I'm like stop, time out. Because we all do love languages differently, and so when we understand that, then we express it to the person the way they want it. And if they understand yours, then they express it to you the way you want it. So sometimes what happens is that I've heard this before. My parents just think they could buy my love, and so they just buy me things and they buy me things. And so two things. One is that if they came from a background where there was a lot of scarcity, one of the mindsets is I want to give my kids everything that I never had. The other is that maybe for them, that's the way they know how to show love. That's the way they want to show you love and appreciation and acknowledge you. That's the way they do it, through gifts. So what happens is that we make them wrong because they did it that way, and then we think they don't care about us and that they don't love us, but it's actually the way they show and express their love. So that is why, if you know your own love language, if you know what you need and what you want and what's important to you, then communicate it. People don't know what they don't know. Like I posted something about for men to finish a sentence. The one thing I want women to know about me is, and one of them said, I'm human. And I love that answer, because sometimes we could be so dismissive and mean and judgmental and carrying the past of everybody else's, and we make up some crazy stuff, right? And we're all human, and we all want love, and we all want respect, and we all want abundance, and we want to be happy, healthy, and wealthy, right? So we got to understand each other. We got to communicate what we need and what we want, and this is a problem with relationships that doesn't work, is that we don't listen. So we got to practice committed listening. You got to listen to understand. Seek to understand before you're ready to answer. Notice that if you already have an answer before someone speaks, that you're not listening. Because when people speak and you really listen, you'll hear what they're saying, and you'll also hear what they're not saying. Because sometimes people don't want to tell you everything, but if you pay attention, they're telling you a lot. You just got to get your ego out of the way, your need to be right out of the way, and then you'll be able to connect and understand what this person's requesting of you. And also, make requests. Can I request of you this? Or in the future, can you do the following? Those kind of things. It really makes a difference. It's all about respect. Without respect, it's hard to have love, because what happens is that we just end up carrying more hurt, more pain, more resentment. And either it'll take a toll on your being and you'll feel like you're not worthy, you're not good enough, or you're gonna say, you know what, I'm done, I'm not even gonna try anymore, I give up, this looks more enticing, blah blah blah. You know, it happens. But and so when people have relationships that don't work, or there's you know, adultery or things like that, and not that I'm promoting it, but sometimes people point fingers and they get mad and blah blah blah, but they don't look at, like, wait a minute, how was I part of why this happened? What could I have done differently? You know what I mean? What could have I done that caused this, right? Because there's two people responsible in any kind of relationship, whether it's working or not working. So it's really about looking at those kind of things and being self-aware. Like, reality is, self-awareness is powerful, especially when you take action to apply the things that you learned to do something different. And remember that would have, could have, should have will never change anything. It's about being in the moment, making a new commitment, and being moving forward, taking ownership. Okay, let's see. Hello, let's see, let me see. Janice Holt, Paulial, Marianne Lopez says, each person should learn which one they are. Yes, it's very important. I think it's very crucial. If most people know more of those things, they will be very supportive. Hello, Bruno Nunez. Janet Palomares says, yes, absolutely, quality time. Yes, quality time. Roxana Munoz, hello. Lupe Cruz Sanchez, hello. Cousin Lupe. Sandy Perry Retinel, aloha, Sandy. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Mwah. Let's see. Abraham Lopez says, if your significant other life improves once the relationship, but your doesn't, is that an issue? Sometimes it is, you know, because what happens is that someone will impose their insecurities on you, and they'll feel like they're being left behind. I remember in a relationship that I had a few relationships where I felt like they were getting ahead in life and I was staying behind, and I was already insecure, so it just made me feel more and more insecure, more jealous, more insecure. And instead of taking committed action to continue to elevate myself and educate myself and grow, I was too busy watching what they were doing to leave me behind, that I was not staying on top of it. So it happens, unfortunately, Abraham, when the person chooses not to take action in what they want. And sometimes the challenge isn't that they don't take action in what they want, is that they don't know what they want. And that's when someone comes, like a coach comes in, because sometimes you're stuck. You know, I work with a lot of people that are stuck, and I've been there, so I know. In fact, I'll have moments when even I get stuck or I'm in a crossroads. I gotta seek coaching, mentorship, support, etc. Because even the books that I read won't be able to catch what I'm not catching. You know, so that's why self-development, self-improvement, transformational work, books, videos, etc. are very important in personal development and personal growth, and in having and creating healthy relationships. So Abraham, that's a really great question, and thank you for asking. But it happens when someone keeps moving forward and the other one stays behind. But that's a choice that this person made. Or, you know, sometimes what happens in a relationship, once one person is taking off and the other one is supporting them to get there, right? The wind beneath your wings. And so you got to remember that if that's you, if that's the scenario, that then now it's your turn to reciprocate and pull that person with you, because you didn't get there by yourself, right? So sometimes what we forget is that we didn't get there by ourselves. We usually don't get there by ourselves, especially when you're in a relationship. You get there with someone. So I'm single, right? I don't have a relationship, but I have some amazing friends and mentors, coaches, and as I keep moving forward and I keep excelling and succeeding, I know that I didn't get there by myself. I did a lot of groundwork, and, you know, technically speaking, I took all the actions myself, but when it came down to it, their support, their guidance, their mentorship, I could vent with them, etc., made all the difference. I didn't get there by myself. So we got to remember to acknowledge those people that supported us in getting up there, because then your win is their win is your win, and no one feels like they're left behind. Let's see, Abraham, I know you said something else. Hi, Carla Cruz. Paul Leal says, love this. I'm glad that you're loving it, Paul. Paul's my cousin's best friend. Abraham Lopez says, you're welcome, and apologies for not reviewing my grammar either. No, don't worry. I know when you're typing, it kind of gets a little frustrating sometimes. That's why I'm more like, I'd rather talk than to be texting. But I'm glad that we actually have this format to communicate and share, and I acknowledge you for asking those questions, because sometimes people don't want to ask. It's uncomfortable, you know, you're worried about being judged. So it takes a lot of courage to just ask, right? Because if you don't ask, you won't know, right? And so I work with a lot of people, a lot of relationships, and let me tell you, I've sabotaged many because I didn't think I was worthy. I scared people away. People have scared me away. You know, like I've experienced quite a bit, and in different scenarios. I've had tons of training, and relationship is like the main focus. Leadership is the main focus. So that's why I love sharing all this insight. Typically I have a guest. So for you that came on for the first time today, I do have a show that comes on mostly weekly every Tuesday, and so I will be sharing with you in the next day or two the guest for my next week. I really appreciate you all joining, and for the questions and the comments and the shares. So if you just jumped on, remember to share, and also watch it again after I'm done, so that you can learn. There's a lot of great information here that I'm sharing with you that is could be very supportive in your relationships, so that you could create loving, healthy, wealthy, and respectful relationships. Okay, so I'm gonna give you like a few little tips, because I'm already gonna be finishing, and time goes by so fast. I didn't talk about dating, but the reality is that everything that I've shared with you really applies with dating as well, and intimate relationships. And it's really about being self-aware and checking in with yourself. If your spouse is not happy, then we got to take the time to look at, like, who am I being in this relationship that they're not happy, you know? And like Abraham, like you were talking, sometimes we try to disempower people, or we make them wrong because we are insecure, or because we're not moving ahead in our life. And so instead of thinking when they win I will win, we feel like we're gonna lose if they win. So at the end, nobody wins. So it's being mindful of those kind of things. Does your partner feel loved? You know, so the love languages, again, apply the love languages. If you can look it up. It's a simple little test. Have your partner look at it and see what are the love languages. How do you like to receive it, and how do you like to show it? Those kind of things are very important. Your personality styles. Are you the supporter type, the controller type, the analytical type, the promoter, expressive type of person? And then how do you communicate with one another so that you do not disrespect each other, that you keep empowering each other and support each other ultimately, so that everybody wins? Because nobody wins unless everybody wins in any kind of relationship. Consider that. And and also, like, consider, are you always causing chaos, or so in dating, like, really quick, I'm gonna say, I hear this all the time, specifically with men, and I coach men often on relationships, is they'll post on their profile, or even in our conversation, they'll say, oh yeah, like, I just don't want any drama, I don't want any drama. And the fact that they say that, and it's so common, I think that it's something that they're not seeing. Is like, okay, yes, some women could be very dramatic, and the reality is that it's unnecessary. It comes from lack of self-confidence, self-love, self-worth, and then you make it about someone else instead of looking at what is it that you got to change. The other thing is, and that's just one perspective, there's more, I'm just giving you a little brief, okay? So again, I told you guys that I might push your buttons, or something I say might bug you, but if it does, please take the time to self-reflect and ask, what is it about this that bugs me, and what is it that I get to change, that where this shoe fits, that I get to change, because it's not working for me anymore. Because it's not about pointing fingers. And the other is if you're the person who keeps saying, I don't want drama, I don't want drama, I don't want drama, consider this, you're the common denominator. You're the one that's constantly around drama. So if you're the one that's always around drama, then ask yourself, how am I creating that? Because you're the one. So I see this a lot, especially in the dating. I have quite a few single friends, and we talk about dating and the different things that happen. Is that men will do, and I'm talking to my female friends, men will do certain things, and then the women react. So a woman that is not self-aware, that lacks some self-confidence, will react based on how the man did something. you know, whether it's they never called back or they said they were going to call back, or, you know, that's a common conversation. And then they get the woman that's tired of people doing that to them. So then the women will react and retaliate and blah, blah, blah. And then now they're talking about drama. And then they don't realize that, well, they're doing this to everybody. And so that's why they keep getting the drama, and they keep getting the drama, and they keep getting the drama. So you're the common denominator. So if you're always around chaos, consider you're the common denominator. What is it that I'm being the source of? What am I creating? How am I responsible? And what am I committed to doing moving forward? And being, more importantly, which way of being am I committed to doing forward? Okay. The other is you know, if it's working, you know, then do more of that. If you're getting great results, do more of that. So you pay attention. Okay. People react. Have you ever talked to somebody and either their body language, right? If they close their arms when you're trying to give them some advice or suggestions, just know that typically this is, I'm closed, I'm not letting in, I'm guarded, I'm not letting you in. Someone that's letting you in, unless it's a relaxed state, like, oh, you know, like I'm relaxing, it'd be different. But if you can tell by the tension in the body whether they're letting it in or not. So if you pay attention to that, then you'll know, okay, you know what, I better like ease off on what I'm saying. They're not ready to hear it, and be okay with that. Revisit it when there's no high anxiety or high stress or high, you know, energy of anger, etc. But if you pay attention, people tell you what they want, even when they don't tell you what they want. But if you can actually say what you want and ask what is it that you want of me and what requests I have of you and what requests you have of me, then your relationships will be so much better. Okay, so let's see. Abraham says, if you're sick, did I read that one already? I did. Okay, so hello, Neil Revillon. All right, everyone. So it's time to end my show for tonight. It's been great having you on. Remember to share. Thank you again for supporting everything that I do. It's all about bringing you content that's going to support you and create an extraordinary life. So if there's any way that I can support you, please feel free to reach out to me, private message me. Please be considerate and respectful of my time as well. And I say that because sometimes people message me super late at night, and I'm okay with that. If it's something that you just absolutely need some support with and it's urgent, I will definitely address it. But make sure that you tell me what it is that you want, so that I know and I'm not making assumptions. All right. So Mariam Lopez says it absolutely does. Great conversation, lesson, information. All right. Thank you, Marianne. And we got to have you on my show too, and maybe you could bring us some cheesecakes. Nena Guerrero, hello, my sister. Take care of yourself. All right, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Remember that you have the power to choose how you want to live your life from moment to moment. You do have a choice. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye. It's a wrap.